Chapter 9. The white toilet bowl felt cold against Erin's face as she pressed into its chilling surface. She gripped its base in an effort to steady her hands when she felt the abdominal contractions of another vomit attack. The contents of her stomach surged up her esophageal tube and out of her mouth. Its force caused Erin to jerk her head up and shove it back into the porcelain bowl. She heaved and contorted as the gastric waste splattered all around her. The stench of vodka and acid-soaked food emptied into the toilet. Tears ran from her eyes as she gave up any attempt to control what was occurring. Kneeling before the open hospital commode presented an unflattering image of the cardiothoracic surgeon, a picture she would not have wanted to share with any of her colleagues. The white lab coat she worked so hard to acquire draped the floor of the main public bathroom. The hospital badge, usually clipped to the waist of Erin's blue scrubs, lay in the corner of the stall, lost in all of the action. The stethoscope dangling from her neck was caught up in the struggle to gain sobriety. Its diaphragm, the round base of the instrument, clanked against the toilet and transmitted loud, unheard sounds. This couldn't be happening, she thought. Not twice in 1 month. She had to get herself together. Erin had just left Dr. Cobra Dillon with Human Resources and was en route to her office. She had patient appointments scheduled for the rest of the afternoon. It wasn't even 1 o'clock. What was she going to do? She couldn't reschedule. Some of her patients were probably already in the examination rooms, waiting, expecting. They were trusting in her medical degree and clinical diagnosis that she would give if she ever made it to their rooms, if she ever got up from the floor. What was wrong with her? Why had she thought she could handle drinking at work? How could she have thought that she could stop at just 1 sip in the elevator? That was ludicrous, insane. What was her problem? If Erin Simpkins was a patient admitted to this hospital, what would her diagnosis be? What would be the illness plaguing her? The cardiothoracic surgeon wondered. Clinical depression? Alcoholism? Obsessive addictive behavior? Compulsive self-destructive tendencies? Erin knew it was unwise to self-diagnose, but the conditions presenting themselves mentally rang true. She was depressed, physically and mentally lost. She was at her lowest point, and she did not know how to rise up. She didn't know how to get beyond this point of hopelessness. Each morning that she opened her eyes should have been a day of joy, but it wasn't. It was just another day to endure, to survive. She struggled through the weeks, hoping that the pain would go away, but it didn't. It instead increased, intensified, until all she felt was an unbearable, aching hollowness that seemed to suck the very marrow from her bones. How could love destroy her so completely? It wasn't supposed to do that. It was supposed to build her up, make her a better person. Erin sneered as she thought sarcastically on all of the merits of love, of devoting herself to another person. Then she vomited again. If only her body could purge Murari Varadaraj from its system as easily as it did the alcohol, then her life would have been so much simpler and love a little easier to bear. If that could have been the case, then the emotional toxins of her heartbreak would be out of her system in a matter of hours. But love did not work like that. It was far more invasive than alcohol, and the body had no natural defense mechanism against it. Erin forced herself to stand. She flushed the toilet and made her way to the bathroom sink. She briefly glanced into the mirror before splashing her face with water and rinsing her mouth out. She stared into the eyes of her reflection, hoping to see an answer, a way out of this mess. She couldn't continue to drink and practice medicine, not without eventually hurting someone. But the surgeon wasn't ready to face her problems without vodka. She didn't want to truly feel the depths of her pain, to acknowledge Mirari's rejection. He'd left her to marry another woman. He'd abandoned their love like it was a disease, a pathogen intent on destroying him. So she turned off the faucet, exited the ladies' room, and headed for the examination room of her next patient.